Thank you for your time. I know you're a busy man, Zach, so thank you. We had the chance to talk earlier together in the year, but you kindly accepted to have an interview for Source Films and explaining a little bit about the Ask You Answer and impact and having your expertise for all the viewers and the audience. So we have some questions for you, Zach, and if you would like to start by introducing yourself for those who doesn't know you, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah. So my name is Zach Basner and I work for a company called Impact. And I'm a digital sales and marketing coach. We are a digital sales and marketing coaching company. So we're a little bit different than a traditional agency in that we don't make and create content for our customers. We coach them on how they can do that in-house, create a culture of content in-house and not be reliant on an agency in the long term. Doesn't mean agencies aren't important, but there's so many skills that organizations need to know how to do in-house. And my job as a coach is to work with leadership teams to make sure that that goes well.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you. Happy to have you here. So if we can ask for the audience that doesn't know yet, what is They Ask You Answer?
They Ask You Answer is a 4-word phrase that has transformed so many businesses all over the world. And put very simply, it's a methodology that helps us really obsess over the way that our customer thinks, shops, and makes decisions. So if there's a particular way that the customer wants to learn about something, then we're going to teach it that way. If there's a particular way that a customer wants to buy something, then we're going to sell it that way. And it hinges on this one fundamental emotion that all buyers have to feel towards us in order to do business with us. And that is trust. It's the fundamental emotion that drives whether somebody's going to buy your thing or not. And so we obsess over that. We become the most trusted voice in our industry by becoming the educator, by becoming the person who's willing to teach and educate people versus pushy sales tactics or manipulation. And it just so happens that when you do embrace these principles of They Ask You Answer, you can radically increase trust, increase traffic, leads, sales, and transform an organization in the way that they think.
Thank you. Thank you. Indeed, trust is the first currency you exchange with your customer before anything else. Thank you for this answer. So what is the place of Impact in order? How has it been born and who founded it? If you can tell us a bit more about the organization.
Yeah, well, one of our owners at Impact, Marcus Sheridan, is the author of the book, They Ask You Answer. And he in 2008, he was a partner at a fiberglass swimming pool company. And 2008, of course, was an interesting year for everybody. But of course, for any fiberglass swimming pool company anywhere in the world, it was an interesting time. And the fact is the business was failing and they were just about to go over the edge. They were going to have to declare bankruptcy if they didn't do something quick, and they didn't have any money to spend to solve the problem. And so Marcus said to himself in that moment, is it possible that by just answering the questions that we hear every day and being willing to address those more honestly, more transparently, more consistently than anybody else in the world, is it possible we could turn this around? It's exactly what they did. They became the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. Yeah. Now, he's distilled those teachings into the book, They Ask You Answer. We've been sharing that all over the world for years now. And, Impact has developed a coaching program to help people really master that. The fact of the matter is, you don't just become a They Ask You Answer organization by default. You need help with it. You need to hire the right people. Those people need training. You have to do consistent training, consistent planning to do this and do it at the highest level. And so our coaches and trainers here at Impact partner alongside these organizations that truly want to embrace these principles. We hold them accountable. We help give them strategic guidance on how to do it. And, if they do the work properly, they're going to radically increase their revenue and the trust in their respective space, whatever that might be.
So what is the place of video on that? Because obviously we live in it's 2023 today.
Yeah.
Video has never been so important. We consume like hours and hours of video a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, video content is becoming increasingly popular, especially in digital marketing. So how can companies use video to connect with their audience and drive business results, like you said?
Well, the first thing to understand about video is you need to have a principle-based approach with it. It's not just a fad or, adapting to technology. That's not a good reason to start using video. You have to understand the underlying principle behind it. The fact is, video content is one of the most profound ways of communication as a business, because it allows prospects to see us, to hear us, and to know us before we see, hear, and know them. That goes a long way, especially in an age where we know our prospects are doing so much research on their own before we ever know who they are or that they're interested in what we have. So we've got this tremendous opportunity to help them get to know us in that digital vetting, process. So now there are keys though to doing it well, because I wouldn't just say, just go create video and you're going to see a huge impact.
No, yeah.
You have to do it in such a way that you can endear yourself to the audience. And what that means is you're creating video content that they really value. So it's really helping them make decisions, navigate a buying process, learn and discover things on their own and in a way that's actually helpful. Right? You can say that's one of the first principles.
The value, giving value without thinking about any sales at some point is just
exactly
giving value.
Right. And so, and the way that I like to put that is we're helping them with a buying process, not just our sales process.
That's it. That's the difference.
In other words, they're navigating a buying decision. And so we're not coming at this as, here's how to buy this thing from us, and here's why we're great. It's okay, you're getting ready to spend money on this thing, whatever it might be, a product or a service. And we're going to help you navigate that and not make mistakes in the process. So that's like the first kind of principle that we have to understand about video. A close second is it's got to be authentic. We've all seen videos that we kind of say to ourselves, it's a little bit icky. It feels too commercial. It's too sterile.
Mm-hmm.
Fact is, if we want people to really get to know us and trust us, then we have to show up authentically on camera. And that doesn't mean you have to be polished. In fact, sometimes it means the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a fancy script that you've rehearsed a billion times. You don't sound like a news anchor. You sound like you, and you sound like a real person who knows a lot about what you sell and a lot about this buying process. And so that's what really endears the audience to you, is when you can show up authentically. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I'd say a lot of companies make when they start doing video, is there seems to be this preconceived notion that it's got to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
When perfect is the enemy of trust building.
Yes.
In so many ways. You want it to be human. You want it to be not messy, but you want it to be real.
Yeah, with flaws eventually. Yes, to show your authenticity.
You have to have the flaws.
That's how you build trust.
You have to have the flaws. Now, it doesn't give us an excuse not to develop skills, because communication is a skill. You have to present something in such a way that it's gonna hold somebody's attention.
Yeah.
And it's easy to watch. So you have to develop those types of skills. But I think we rely too much on scripts and rehearse and trying to get things perfect versus really focusing on how do I need to deliver this in such a way that it's understood, not in a way that it's, perfect.
So that's a perfect transition, Zach, because I was about to ask you as well, what are the best practices that businesses could put in place like today to actually not be perfect, but start creating video content themselves to increase the value, increase the trust, and build themselves as the authority in their field, be the most trusted voice in the industry. What are the best practices they can start? What I hear every time is like, Romain, I don't know where to start. It's complicated. I need a super fancy camera. I need everything like that. And I often say, if it is what you want, like create just video to bring value, you don't need fancy equipment. You need the basic, you need the minimum, but you don't necessarily need that. So what are the best practices you could maybe help our audience to understand as Source Films how to start build videos?
It's great advice, by the way, that you don't need all the fancy stuff. In fact, I think it's a distraction from what actually needs to happen, which is you just need to start creating stuff. And so that would be the short answer is just press record and start making some stuff. But actually, I'll take it a step further and give some kind of ground rules that will help you not only start to create stuff, but you actually see a meaningful difference in your sales process or in that digital experience that people have on your website or on social media. And so the first thing I'll give you is two rules that you should put in place in terms of what you make to start.
Okay.
The first rule is, if you have an idea, I want you to ask yourself, is this based on a real worry, fear, concern, question that we actually hear from prospects?
And we come back to value, isn't it?
Come back to value. And it's not something that we wish they would ask or that we're hoping they ask. It's the stuff we actually hear from them. If the answer to that question is yes, then move on to rule number 2. And rule number 2 is, assuming that first is true, and if we produced this video today, could we immediately use it with a prospect tomorrow? Right? If you can answer yes to that question, there's a very, very good chance you're going to see some sort of impact on that buying experience for your customer. And so this will keep us out of the land of fluff, as I like to say. It's the stuff that we might enjoy making, talking about ourselves. It's the fun part of sales is when we get to talk about our value and how we're special, which is fine. But we want to stay out of that land of fluff until we've really done a great job of shoring up that buying experience and addressing the things that we already are dealing with on a day-to-day basis. So that would be the first rule that I would put in place.
Okay, the first 2 rules then. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for that. That's very, very interesting and valuable insight, because you mentioned assignment selling in a way. So video that not only give result in weeks or months, but you can actually apply today once you finish to edit or just put it like in the distribution process.
Yes.
You can actually send it as assignment sending, as a bit of a homework, a bit of information, added information to your customers, and that create an impact immediately. Then you don't have to wait months and months to see the result in better educated customers, better quality leads, etc., etc. So very valuable insight. Zach, thank you very much. To hear from an expert like you, it makes all the difference. And maybe I had a final question, Zach, that you could help our audience and the team at Source Now Film understand a bit more about AI. We hear AI every single day. On LinkedIn, there is thousands of articles online, on YouTube, etc., etc. Video is obviously impacted by AI, or sales in general are impacted by AI. So some see it as a threat, some see it as an opportunity. I personally see it as an opportunity. But what are the emerging trends, you could say, or technologies, obviously AI, or maybe you have more insight, that that would define the future of video content, because it's moving extremely fast at the moment. So I'm not asking you to predict the future, but obviously based on your expertise and what you see as the questions for the customers, how do you see this trend of video evolving in the future? Do we still need video in the future?
100%. And the way that I answer this question is the one major positive and the one major negative, but actually is a positive if you think about it right. So the big positive that AI can bring to our video efforts is a radical increase in productivity. And when you have that increase in productivity, you have more output. I'm not one that believes you just need more video and that's going to lead to success. But if you look at some trends with social media, let's say, vertical video and short form content is absolutely crushing it, right? We're in a really unique spot in time right now where that seems to be one of the biggest ways, especially at the top of the funnel, to bring people into our audience. And so with the advent of that trend in social, AI can help us quickly add captions to videos, edit short form content very, very quickly, write captions and the text that goes along with our videos where we post it. So we can have a much higher output there. And it even helps us with the long form stuff. We can edit much faster. I
Mhm.
mean, there's so many things that have changed with AI that remove humans doing the redundant stuff, right? We can do the more creative things and leave it to do the monotonous tasks.
Exactly.
But that's one of the big positives. One of the negatives, you could say, but actually is a positive depending on how you look at it, is it's lowering the threshold of what humans actually need to do. So AI could easily write you a video script.
Mhm.
You could use an AI, human uh superimposed,
Mhm.
and it looks like a real human, and they're delivering the message. And so it's like perfect, like we talked about earlier. And so there's all these substitutes for human involvement that I think a lot of companies are going to use as a crutch.
Yes.
And I don't feel it will have the impact they hope that it would, because it won't build the trust like you could if it was done by humans.
Because
Now,
it's all about it. If you have like an AI as an interface, obviously you remove this authenticity approach. At least as per today, you can still see the differences
yes,
between AI and human. Maybe in 2 years they'll be
which
different, but
and it goes against the principle we started with.
exactly.
Right?
Of the
That's why you
trust.
always have to start with the principle and not the technology, because you could knock out the technology part, but you miss the principle altogether. They're not seeing us. They're not hearing us. They're
Exactly.
not knowing us. And so it's a negative for many that will jump on that train. But considering I think many will do that, it creates incredible opportunity for those of us who embrace the principle, and we continue
We
to
become
put our
special.
real people, right?
Yeah,
We
in a
we
way,
we
we
don't
become
rely
special.
on scripts. We have real communication. And it forms that bond because it is different. It'll be special, like you said. And that will be an incredible strength to those that really understand the principle behind this thing that we know as video. So who knows what we're going to see? This stuff is advancing so fast, faster than it probably should be. But as long as we are embracing the principle, I think we're going to be able to use AI to continue to see results.
Brilliant. I can only agree with that. And it's a very deep insight already of all the emerging trend and this value that you give to the human side of it because of the trust, which is at the foundation of any commercial, ultimately, relationship, is to build the trust,
Yes.
or like give yourself at the authority in a business. So thank you very much for your answer, Zach. I had a last question, but I think you responded while you were talking about the common mistakes. So you said, don't overcomplicate things, don't be perfect, don't aim for perfection. But is there anything that comes into mind for the last 2 minutes we have together, maybe, or a word, maybe for Sourcena Films as a company? How can I help and drive this change to companies and maybe bring more result for the business and grow their sales?
My one word of advice would be, just like with anything in life, the first um, iteration or product or creation with something is going to look radically different than what you do a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever.
Mm.
That's anything in life. And so don't feel like things need to be perfect to start. Even if you made what you think is the perfect video, the perfect piece of content, the perfect sales pitch, whatever it is, you're going to look back a year from now, you're going to go, well, that's not as good as what we're doing now. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You should embrace that process, embrace the messy. And so don't wait for the perfect circumstances. One thing that can help is engaging with a partner, much like yourself, much like
Mhm,
what we do at Impact.
mhm.
Bring somebody in who knows the landscape, it sees the path, isn't going to let you go too far to the left, too far to the right. They see the path. They're going to help you avoid making mistakes. And that's really the value of working with a partner. So that would be my mistake to avoid and a way to avoid it.
Yes, thank you, Zach. Thank you so much. So thank you for your time today. It's been amazing. I can't say enough, and you don't probably realize how much it means to me and to the company Sourcena Films. I have a
Thank
family, I
you,
have a
man.
little girl. I fight every day for them and to grow businesses like me to
Yeah.
implement video and get them result at the end of the day. Making a video is easy, I always say, but making a sales video that build trust and value is a totally different game. Like you said, you need to have a purpose from the start. What are you trying to answer? And this is this they ask you answer formula that has worked for so many businesses that I'm trying to inflate in the companies across the UK. But thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so
most
much.
welcome, man. It's fun hanging out with you.
Thank you. You have a great rest of the day. What time is it in the US now?
It's 11 o'clock.
11. Okay. So it's
Yeah.
almost the end of the day for me, but you have a good rest of the day, and I speak
Thanks,
to you
brother.
shortly then.
All right. Sounds good, man. Good seeing you.